Hey, good evening, everyone, and happy Monday. My name is Sharon Rankin, and I'm zooming in from Nashville, Tennessee. I am delighted to welcome you to our Mission Possible team call. We come together every single Monday night, really, to keep our focus on our mission, which is inspiring healthy living around the world. And then our president, Jay Martin, the founder, really the founder of this incredible company, had a vision that he would build a stable and lasting company that would help as many people as possible realize their dreams. And people have been realizing their dreams for the last 50 years, some big, some small, and in between. And we're so thankful that we continue to shine the light for health and hope. So thank you so much for being here each week. When you're here, your presence says so much about your mission and the purpose about what we're doing to inspire healthy living. The Mission Possible team is a growing team of inspired individuals dedicated to creating a healthier life for as many as possible. We're ambassadors, definitely dedicated for change. So thank you for being here. And we're so excited that tonight we have a very special guest. And I have been following Melissa Falco for the last couple of years. I actually encountered her through Voxer, listening to some of her incredible messages that she put in the NMD sideline chats over the last couple of years. And so I reached out to her a few months ago or a year ago or sometime and said, I want to know you better. Do you ever do that to anybody? Somebody inspires you by their wisdom and their grace, and you just take a I said, I don't know if you know who I am, but I want to know you. So that's how I got to know Melissa and interact with her. So let me just tell you a little bit about Melissa. And if you follow her on Facebook, and Melissa, I'm not on Instagram or any of those things, so I suspect you are. But if you follow her, this is one busy lady. She is on the move. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a mom of two beautiful daughters. And she's been with the Juice Plus company, I think, a little over 12 years. But I will tell you that she lives in Southern California, where she moved after graduate school. And I loved Melissa's story in that she went out there for a 2-year adventure, but it turned into a 20-year stint. She didn't leave Southern California, where she, I guess, met her husband and has now raised a family. And I understand that you're moving. Melissa is an international marketing director. And I don't know if you all, for all of us who watched Juice Plus Live, Melissa was one of the closing inspirational stories on Saturday morning. She came in and she shared her beautiful story about what she has done. So I am delighted that Melissa is joining us. She has an educational background, a double major and Nancy, you're going to love this coming from education, but special education, 2 degrees in special education and elementary education. So she has a passion for creativity and a passion for families with special needs. So Melissa, thank you so much for coming to share with us tonight. So we welcome you and come and share with us. I know you have your beautiful heart.
Aw. Thank you so much. It is just such a complete honor, you guys, to be here for your call. I am a huge fan of you, Sharon, and have learned so much. And I think that that's one of the unique gifts that we get to experience in our business, unlike others, is that our leaders are tangible, and as we progress, it's really longevity that allows us to interact with multiple people. And one of the things when I first got started, I'll tell you, for anybody that's new, that really, really helped me was I traveled to every place that I wanted to build business. And I went to a boot camp in that space. And I really worked hard to get to know the leaders that were performing in those areas, because it's through them that we'll get a lay of the land and we'll get to see and learn. And I have just been a really great student over the past 14 years of collecting wisdom from our leaders that have gone before. And so I don't really take credit for much of it other than I showed up. I showed up, I took notes, and I put those things into action. And when I have 5 short slides I'm going to show at the end of this, but tonight we were trying to figure out what is it that's important to talk about now at this point in time. And I think coming off of COVID, coming off of a pretty tumultuous, I would say, to be completely honest, a shift right into ATT and all the things that we're working through as a company, this modernization project. And that is not foreign to any company that's gone through this, might I add, right? So walking through these last couple of years, we've had to experience some things that we weren't used to, right? Things changed. We got knocked to the side a little bit, jostled around. The bread and butter of our business is events. And those are taken away from us in many places. My business is primarily in New York and California, where I grew up and where I landed. And those two places were hit the hardest, I think, out of the whole country. And so we had to pivot. We had to learn to look at things a little differently. And so I entitled this just find the joy in the jostle, right? Like we have to, I think when you're diving into a long-term relationship with anything or anyone, we always have to look at the end result. And the end result here for us, in my opinion, is impact, right? The longer we stay, the more we do, the more people we share with, the bigger our teams, the bigger the impact. And so given my background, that was really important to me. Before I went through schooling to be a teacher, and then when I got to California, this is kind of a funny side story, but important to this, there were no teaching positions. And so I sent out across the country, 23 years old, with $3,500 to my name and a 10-year-old Jetta. And I drove out to a place I had never been to, where I don't know anybody, and really on faith. It was faith that called me here. And so I knew it was going to work out, but I didn't even know what I was stepping into really. And so I got here with the plan. Anybody ever make a plan? With the plan to build out a network from bartending, because that was something I did through college. I said, okay, I can meet people that way, and I'll substitute teach to get my experience, and then have some fun for 2 years, have a little adventure in a new place on a beach, and then go home and get serious about life. That was the whole plan. But I got here, and the things that I was looking to do weren't available to me. So think about the last 2 years. It's been kind of like that, hasn't it? We may have set plans and goals and all the things that were sitting in front of us. And then all of a sudden, they're not there. We don't have the ability to go to a boot camp. A lot of people, kind of put a pause on making decisions in general because things were uncertain, right? And things changed. So there's been opportunity, but there's also been obstacles, right? And that was the same thing that happened when I came out here. So what did I do? I sat down with myself and said, okay, what are the skill sets that I have? What are the things that I have to offer the marketplace, which is much like where we are as a company. What are the things that we have to offer to the marketplace? Well, we offer part-time residual income, which is pretty special right now with an economy that's a little bit up and down. Things are changing, shifting at any moment, right? It's nice to have a little cushion somewhere. We offer tools that help people. I call them tools, not products, but they're tools that we can apply to our life to make it better, to be healthier, to live for longevity, right? Disease prevention or performance enhancement. There's a lot of things that come from those experiences. And really uniquely, we offer produce at the most cost-effective way available to get to people right now. So as prices go up, we become more valuable. And I kept looking at it from that angle. So shifting and pivoting becomes this, I like to think of it as like a dance. It's kind of like one of those, have you ever been to like a dance club and the DJ changes the song? So it's like you're starting out with one rhythm and a beat, and then all of a sudden you're in another place, right? And maybe with a different partner, like you kind of just need to move. But if you have joy in the experience and you really loosen up and let that motion take you, right? Then you can come out with a really great positive result, right, on the other side. And that's really what I wanted to talk to you about tonight, because I think everything that we do right now, moving forward, there is still a little bit more that the company is doing and needs to do on the back end to make us get to where we want to go, right? They've listened to everything we've said. I can wholeheartedly attest to the fact that I've been in rooms where they're listening, they're taking notes, they're asking us for ideas and input. Like they really care genuinely. I don't think we have, I honestly, I think we're in the best hands that we could be in. And I'm so grateful for that. And alongside that, we also have really, really strong back-end talent that's modernizing us to the place where we need to get to. And understand that technology is on a shifting scale all the time. So things are constantly moving. So just like we're doing the dance, they are too. But what's going to happen is those two things are going to come together at a point. And the question for you is, are you going to be prepared for it? So what I've been leading my team through this time is really to ask them, like, let's get clear about what we want in the long run. let's get really focused on the things that are going to help us get there. And let's make sure that everybody in your world knows that you represent Juice Plus. Because as we lay those seeds and as corporate catches up to us, there's going to be some things they mentioned at conference about marketing and messaging. We just signed up a functional medicine doctor today on our team. And she said, I saw the Perform ad come across my Facebook feed. I said, how did that make you feel? And she said, I was actually really excited to see Juice Plus out there. I said, me too. So there's some targeted marketing and some things that we're investigating, if you would, to kind of see how they're going to land. But it's really important that we as professionals get ourselves positioned, so that when this convergence happens, we can take off, right? Because the worst thing that could happen is you sit back and watch and wait. And then when it happens, someone else comes along and collects all that opportunity that's in front of you, right? So I think it's a really strong time to be proud, to stand tall, to dig deep, to really root yourself in what we do, to polish up maybe some of the business acumen things. Maybe the customer care needs a little bit more attention. Maybe the outreach needs a little bit more attention. Maybe we need to polish up on how we invite to events and practice that more, because more events are going to start to pop up. But this is your preparedness time for the prosperity that's coming on the other side, is really the way I see it. So I moved to California. I get all the way out here. Like I said, there were no teaching jobs. I have all these degrees from really fancy institutions and a big bill to pay at the end of the month. And I said, what on earth am I going to do now? And my cousin got me an interview at a technology company. And so here was the girl who used to call her 8-year-old brother to help her with her computer issues. And now I'm selling multi-million-dollar equipment pieces because it was the only thing I knew how to do to pay the rent. And so in that pivot, it opened me and exposed me to this whole big world that was out there. And I realized that, in this corporate space, it was really interesting. Like, I learned a lot. I had to learn resilience really quickly. I realized that, for the first time in my life, there was a glass ceiling for being a girl. And I was also, in a position where I came in and had to learn from people that were less skilled than me. And that was really challenging. There were people in the office making $200,000 to $500,000 a year. And I was editing their work to send them out on a proposal to go win the bid, So it was a really fascinating, humbling time for me. And what I did was the same thing I said in the beginning here. And I just encourage you guys, especially for the newer people, like, if you can study the people around you and collect the skills and the wisdom that they have to offer, that's going to set you up for such a huge, monumental transition to allow you to catapult up into a different place. I am not the smartest person in the room all the time. I don't ever pride myself on that. But what I can tell you this is I'm really good at recognizing talent. And when I can surround myself with other people that make me whole, it makes the team better. It makes the team stronger. So I openly talk about the things that I'm looking to bring onto the team so that the team can go find those talent spaces, right? So right now we're focused on bringing a pediatrician in. We really want like a rock solid pediatrician. So think about your team, like, where are the spaces? Maybe you're all of one thing, or maybe you have, are you diversified, right? Are you reaching the full group of people that you can attract simply by inviting others to join you? So as I transitioned, I went through 7 years of high tech, and I kept getting promoted and recruited and promoted and recruited. That's kind of how that industry works. And in that time frame, I was also recruited by the pharmaceutical companies, and they came through because they loved the talent that we had. They loved the skill set, and the tech companies invest a lot in you to give you the skills and the presentation skills to be able to go out there and make a real big impact, because you're carrying a big bag, of quota and all that. So in that process, I got recruited. It was 3 different pharmaceutical companies, and I went through all of the interview processes that took me down to the end of it. And so in the final interview, where they're about to make the offer and all that, I just had this strong feeling inside. And I said to myself, I asked them, each of them, can you, commit to me that I'll be on a drug that won't harm anybody? Because that's my biggest concern, is I don't want to go to bed at night and wake up 6 months later, 18 months later, and have all these recalls because it hurt somebody or harmed somebody. And all 3 companies said, no, we can't do that. We can't commit that to you. And so I turned down those offers. And I know that there are pharma reps that come into our company, so I'm not knocking the job. It was just for me personally, I couldn't sleep at night knowing that. And so when I came to Juice Plus, there was this kind of space and time where I had gotten through 7 years in high tech. I had gotten through a lot of adversity, I would say. It was challenging. It was a lot of backstabbing and stealing deals. I mean, I found out that my commissions were paid out to other people. Like, it was really kind of a not so great place to be in the end. And ethically, it was hard for me to look up, because I was looking up to these women who were really talented, like really super talented and wonderful people. But when push came to shove, I was seeing them sell out on their values to get ahead. And I didn't like that. That wasn't comfortable for me. And so I was seeking at that point in my life, real, true mentors. That's why this call is so special to me, because from afar, Sharon, I've been watching and learning from you too, right? And so to be in that position, of really seeking and wanting, and then really on a prayer, it was just a moment in time where I kind of came to a place of surrender. I said, Lord, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I was 27 years old, 28 years old, and I was making six figures. I had built up a lifestyle that was hard to walk away from financially. And I was starting to get serious with my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband. And I knew children were going to be in the near future, right? But how on earth was I going to be the kind of mom that I wanted to be, doing this job that I was sometimes I was taking people out for entertainment meals, like lunch, breakfast, dinner meetings, 3 times a day at times. It was a lot. It was just a lot of hours. And I kept thinking, there's just no way. I want to be there to drive them to school. I want to be there to pick them up. I want to do these things, right? But I also want that professional thing for me, because I really thrive on that. It's important to be able to, exercise your talents in those ways. And so I came to this crossroads, and I just said, okay, I'm really conflicted, because I don't know what to do here. Can I, if I have permission, will you allow me to continue in this job, in this space, and be the mom I want to be someday? And if not, I'm asking for guidance, and I'm asking you to move me to something better. And that was Sunday at 4:30, you guys. And Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, I walk in to present my business plan for the quarter. It's called the Quarterly Business Review. And they let me go. And I literally, for the first time in my life, I went, wow, that's a first. We all started laughing because it was really kind of funny. But the truth is, I was so stunned. I'm like, oh my gosh. And they're like, we're so sorry. We had this thing with payroll and blah, blah, blah. And they had a tough December where they usually make 80% of their income. I stopped him and I said, no, I have to tell you this story. You're not going to believe it. So I told him about my Sunday prayer. And I said, this is really clear. Like, I don't feel bad. It's okay. Something good is coming. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be okay. And that's pretty awesome. And so it was like in that disengagement, right? I finally had the freedom to think of something else, because I was so wrapped up in that world. It really kind of had me, they call them golden handcuffs, right? It's like you need the check and you don't know how to untangle. But I just knew that if I was led in that way, and that was truly an answer to prayer, that good things would come on the other side and I would be taken care of, right? So I get in my car, which was a much nicer car than the jet I drove out in, and I drove down the road. And I remember then all of a sudden the panic sets in, and I go, oh gosh, what's going to happen now? And I called my husband, who I had just moved in with. And any independent women in the room, you understand exactly what I mean when I say this, but I did not want to be that girl. I just didn't want to. I'm like, I was so independent. I could carry my own. I was really, we were just building a life together. I didn't want to be like, oh, by the way, I no longer have a job. But he was so great. And you know what he said to me? Give him all the credit. He said, what about that Juice Plus thing? You've got doctors playing in your car all the time. He said, why wouldn't you take that seriously and treat it like a business? And I thought, I guess you're right. But it was really hard to think about turning a $65 paycheck into a 6-figure income. How do you do that? How do you make that leap? So that's where I want to shift into tonight, is just, you can grow this business from any point in time that you decide. It really, truly comes down to a decision. When I first said yes to this, it was not to make money. It was 100% to get my dad on the product. He had been diagnosed with cancer. He was not compliant with his diet. He had a surgery, but I knew that if we didn't get to the root cause of that we were in for some tough things ahead. And I could not imagine my life without him. He was my person, and I hadn't yet walked down the aisle. I didn't have kids yet. And I attribute, you guys, 10 years of his life to saying yes to Juice Plus. and years of memories that I just would not have had it not been for this. So sometimes we say yes and it's a small yes. And at the time, that's all I could say yes to. But then when life shifted, and as I was starting to seek and ask and look for more, this presented itself in a much different way, and allowed me to step into it in a bigger way and to apply myself in a bigger way. So I really encourage you, don't discount anybody that's on your roster. If they've said yes, they said yes with a little bit of hope in their heart. And there's an opportunity for them to also grow into a bigger yes. So maybe now's a really good time to temperature check with your people and circle back around and see where they're at, because things are changing and they're getting really good. And there's a lot of really wonderful things that are in our future that they're not going to want to miss if that little yes had the potential for a bigger one, right? So I'm going to share my screen really quick. I just put together 5 short, let me go into this really quick.
I need help.
Somebody
Needs to mute themselves, I believe. Here we go. Okay.
And forgive me, the one thing I don't like about Canva is that it hides sometimes. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to share this in presentation mode. So here we go. So I put these together for you guys just to show you a little bit about it's the ups and downs, right? And I think it's so important that we recognize this as a journey and an opportunity and kind of like a roller coaster, but not a bad one, like a good one. There's a lot of adventure and excitement in what we do. And there's so much that we get to learn from as we go. And I think of it like this, like we're always in this constant cycle. It starts out with curiosity or inspiration, right? So for me, the curiosity or the inspiration was my dad getting sick. That created curiosity and gave me a reason to go look for answers. And so I was looking for a way to get more plants into his body in a way that he would say yes to it regularly, right? And then the action step for me was to get educated, to go to an event. I went to multiple, actually. I started listening to the CDs. I really dug in a little bit more. I asked more questions. Those were all action steps for me, right? And then I said yes to the business because I realized that he wasn't going to buy this from anybody but me. He really needed that personal edification. And if it wasn't good enough for me to say yes to, then why on earth would he say yes to it? So I that's the call to action for the people that are kind of on the fence with you that you're talking to. Ask them that question. Like, think about it. Like, what does it say to the person that you're wanting to share this with? I'm sure there's people in your life who have cancer in their families or, have disease that they could, easily walk into. But like, what if, you offer something, but don't take it yourself, or you offer something, but don't feel strongly enough about representing it yourself? What does that say to them, in terms of the recommendation? And then, from those action steps, and there are going to be various different action steps along the way, comes an accomplishment or a result, right? So either you accomplish something. So maybe the action step over here was saying yes to the business and then doing some things to build that business and to take the first couple of steps. Well, that's going to result, right, in accomplishment. Or sometimes the result is it didn't work out, right? That happens too. But either way, the action step is important because without taking the action, we can't get to that result. We can't get to the accomplishment. And then past that comes either the celebration or the failure. And my argument to you is not argument, but my point to you here is that from either of these places, this is what you're shooting for, because you need the outcome to generate the learning opportunity. If you did something that worked, it's going to give you celebration, and then you're going to learn from that. You're going to get stronger. You're going to build confidence from that. If you did something that led to a result that was more in the it didn't work, right? The didn't work side, I would argue you actually learn more from that piece than you do from the celebration. Because in the learning of the failure or the thing that set you back, because I had to unlearn, you guys, everything that they taught me in my high tech world, everything. They taught me how to go and present and to lay out all the cases and to get them to a place where they basically couldn't say no. Well, when it comes to your nutrition, people do not want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told by a know-it-all. They don't want you to be the smarter person, and they certainly don't want you making the decision or the recommendation They want to have the ownership of that. Our job is to create curiosity, invite them to engage with something that would be the action step, right? Help them get to an accomplishment or a result, and then celebrate with them, hopefully, and then create a learning opportunity. Because at that point, you have their attention. And that's where the learning moment happens. That's where the opportunity is to move them forward through it. And then we start all over again with other people, with different positions, with all the things. But we go through those cycles together, right? And they're always the same. So some people will say, well, I feel like I'm spinning in circles, right? And I would argue you just need to look at it a little differently. Because each time, if you come on this on-ramp here, yes, you're going around the same cycle, but you're going through and you're getting stronger and you're getting better. I am very open about explaining to people that I have reset my business. I have rebuilt my business 3 times. And I don't think that any leader, true leader in this company would say different. You know, we all are in a constant process of rebirth. And that is the magic and the miracle in our business model. So we constantly get to bring new people in. We get to carry them through the cycle. We get to serve them and bring them to, you know, a better result. And we get stronger every time we do that. So I was trying to think of a funny acronym for, you know, how do we turn the JOB into something different, right? Well, in our business, the JOB stands for different things. If we're joyful in our approach, we can then overcome the obstacles, because there will always be obstacles, right? And then we can build better each time. So think of yourself as every obstacle is an opportunity, if we approach it from a joyful place, to come back and build better, build stronger, and move forward. Okay. And I love this slide. I'm sure you've seen it before, but it's just such a funny one in that it's not going to be a pretty perfect picture, right? Ups and downs. When I skyrocketed, once I made that decision, I got to sales coordinator in less than 2.5 months, I think it was, then went straight on to senior sales coordinator. We hit 12 club within a year, got to go to the Eltons twice. That was super exciting. Then I got pregnant, life changed, everything dropped. I lost 3 POB frontline sales coordinators due to tragedies and other things that I don't have time to talk about tonight. Things that were out of my control. It just was, life happened, right? And so I plateaued for some time. And after my second daughter went back and kind of said, you know, I had this feeling of like, okay, can I redo this? Can I do this again? You know, and I asked for basically permission and prayed about it. And I took another step and I grew again, but it was in seasons and spurts, right? So we have to know and be realistic in that this is an entrepreneurial business. And as long as that ultimate arrow is ending up into a higher place, we're in a good place. But I also wanted to say, you know, in our business, I think a lot of people right now are sitting back in the 3rd row, some in the 2nd, but they're sitting back and they're watching. They're watching the things change around them. They're watching the things come and go. They're, you know, adjusting maybe slightly. But what if we just jumped all in? What if we jumped in the front row? Think about how much more fun we're going to have, right? Together as we ride this ride of just getting ourselves out there, because this company is about to explode. And I love this too, because I just kind of wraps up the point. But there's a past version of you that is so proud of how far you have come. And my encouragement to you is, if you've been sitting in the same place for some time, that you start writing to this person that you're so proud of, because the truth of the matter is that you have accomplished so much. We all have, you know, anybody that's been here for more than a year, you've gone through different cycles in your business already. And so as we start to embrace those, we see them as the levels that take us up further. And eventually you build this big, strong business that will carry you out as far as you want it to go. So that's all I had tonight, Sharon. I hope it's helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. The word you started off was impact. And I just love that. That's a key word in our business for sure. And a day in the life of the entrepreneur. You can keep that slide up, because I've said there's the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, the sideways, the plateaus, the discouragement, but yet when you believe in something, you just keep moving. So someone said, was that Eleanor Roosevelt and the roller coaster? Was that, or do you know?
Oh, what a great question. I don't think so, but I used that slide multiple times throughout different presentations over I just love it. I think it says everything.
Well, I agree with you that this is a perfect time in our Juice Plus history to stand proud. I totally agree with you. And I'm so excited about what our company is doing. We talked to our leadership this morning about the last leadership call last week. And what a phenomenal call it was of what is happening within our culture and community. So thank you so much for sharing with us this evening. I'm going to try to remove the spotlight if I can. I don't know if I can. I'm always not the best at this, but we will see what we can do here. But I just want to say thank you to you, heartfelt thank you to you for joining us this evening, for sharing with us. I don't know if you guys want to unmute, if you guys want to unmute yourself and just let Melissa know how much we appreciate her. And you might want to follow her on Instagram and on Facebook, because this girl is on the move. Since conference, you've been all over the place. I've been watching you, and I'm like, you're making my head spin. So thank you for being here. Anybody want to say thank you
Thank
to
you.
Melissa?
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you.
That was incredible.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. May you be blessed and your time redeemed. We pray that your time is redeemed by investing in us this evening.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Let's go out there and shine the light. Let's do this talk proud.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Sharon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.